Welcome, dear Thriver to Thriver TV, where you can heal for real from narcissistic abuse. My name is Melanie Tonya Evans, and I'm the author of the best-selling book, You Can Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse, the #1 system for recovery from toxic relationships. And over the last 15 years, I've helped thousands of people from over 150 different countries detox from narcissists, up-level beyond them, and go on to create their dream lives despite all of the suffering that they had in those relationships. If this is something that you may be interested in, I'd love to introduce you to my free masterclass, You Can Heal for Real, and the link is with this video, because in there you're going to receive a quantum healing that's going to give you relief and start granting you your soul, your life force, and your sanity back. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about aftershock, because it's a phenomenon. And aftershock is a phrase that I coined years ago, and pretty much nobody is talking about this. Aftershock is when you feel worse after leaving an abuser than you did with the abuser. And this happens even if you're the one who leaves. We know discarding is really painful if you've experienced that. But even people who've decided to leave and they feel good about going and getting on with it can be hit with aftershock afterwards. Aftershock leaves you stunned as to why you can't get on with your life. And even though you detest this person and you know they're so bad for you, you may feel yourself manically missing them. And you may even question yourself, and you might say to yourself, well, I must love them, and this relationship must be meant to work. Maybe it's a soul contract. And it's weird to people who are onlooking, because surely you should just be able to get away from somebody who's abusive and start getting better because you've got the space and the distance from them. But when aftershock strikes, it's anything but that. Now, maybe you are going through this, or you've gone through this and it really shocked you as well. If that's you, let me know in the comments below. And I really want you to know, and maybe you need to hear this, that after being narcissistically abused, aftershock is actually more common than not. So the reason why you can't get on with your life or stop obsessing about somebody is because of aftershock. And you may be battling your own cognitive dissonance, where you're coming up with excuses and justifications for why you should get in contact with this person, or how you might be able to fix the relationship, or thinking that there may be salvation with this person because the aftershock just feels so unbearable to go through. There are deep reasons for aftershock, and I promise you it hits really after a toxic relationship. Virtually everybody, even when people break up from a toxic person and never hear from them again, or don't get the repercussions from them, which is rare, but even those people can suffer from aftershock as well. The reason why you go through aftershock is because you're no longer in the fight. So when you're with a toxic person, you're regularly triggered into adrenaline and cortisol, and even though it wreaks havoc on your system, if it's medium or long term, it keeps you distracted. It keeps you in the present, in the fight. But what happens is when you're away from this person and you've got some space, what happened last week, last month, last year, and decade can catch up with you because you're stationary. So all of this kind of rubbed into your consciousness in a way that is really awful. Aftershock feels like overwhelm, deep despair, total heartbreak, and so much more. And one of the biggest things about aftershocks is the obsessional thoughts, the looping thoughts of the stinking thinking of what happened and what should have happened and what could have happened. And you go over and over and over it all in your head. And you can't stop doing it. And you just don't get any resolution. And you're astounded in Aftershock how it's sucking your energy dry. You feel so empty. And you could feel much worse than even when you're with the narcissist. You may feel like a terrible psychic virus has overtaken you and it's just draining out all of your life force. You may feel like you're literally dying in Aftershock. And it brings to mind to me the U2 song, I Can't Live With or Without You. And I'm not going to burst into song because I can't sing. But Aftershock, truly, it can feel more painful out of the relationship than you're feeling in the relationship. Even though to get out of the relationship when you left, you know that you barely got out of there alive. You barely survived the abuse. But yet now you feel worse. It's crazy. In Aftershock, your abuse symptoms escalate. You're struggling to function. And you may feel totally addicted. This is one of the craziest things about it, to wanting to break no contact with that person. You might want to reconnect. So it could be feelings like you just want closure, you want understanding, you want repair, you want remorse, you want reconciliation, despite knowing that that never worked in the past, no matter how many times you tried to go for that. So the real reason why so many people break no contact is because they're suffering the phenomenon of aftershock. Now let's go deeper again into what's really going on here. And I want to talk about peptide addiction and aftershock. And peptide addiction is something that I've gone deeply into in the past. And I've shared lots about it on this platform. And it was a game changer for me in how I healed. It was one of my biggest turning points. Some of the gravest feelings of aftershock are panic and addiction. Waves of anxiety and triggered fear and feelings of not being able to survive without this person may cause you to try to stay energetically connected. So these are things like trying to feel into their energy, constantly researching everything that you know about this personality type. Maybe you stalk their social media, you ask people who know about them for information. Maybe you're getting psychic readings on how they feel about you. Do they still love you? Are they coming back? Do they regret what they did? Or maybe you just break no contact. I did that dozens of times, and a lot of other people have as well. Peptide addiction occurs because the cells in your body are chemically used to receiving strong doses of the emotional peptides that your hypothalamus in your brain has been creating. This is important. There's a peptide for every human emotion that you can experience. And you've been having large doses of things like anger, betrayal, invalidation, injustice, all related to the shocking things that the narcissist has done to you. You are emotionally addicted physiologically to these states. That's the truth. It's been discovered in lab tests with rats, studies, that rats, when they're given emotional peptides, they will forego food, water, self-care, cleaning themselves. For the peptides, they will literally starve and thirst to death. So it can be argued that emotional peptides are as addictive or maybe even more addictive than any synthetic drug. So when you leave a narcissist, you're away from your drug. of those emotional peptides that you've been receiving. And you're going to go cold turkey. Your cells are literally craving the connection with the peptides. It's your body, it's your cells that are your emotions. And the emotional craving will make your head obsess about the abuser and what they did to you, because that's going to give you another kick of your hypothalamus making more of those peptides. And your brain's going to give you every excuse to return to the scene of the crime, where you can get the drug again from the abuser who dishes it out. All right, so there is another layer to Aftershock. Let's look at this. It's good old trauma bonding. Aftershock is to do with the trauma bonding as well. Trauma bonding is horrible. It's Aftershock as well. It's that horrible feeling of you can't stop wanting to go toward somebody that's hurting you, and you can't stop thinking about them, and it's very hard for you to try to reconnect with them. The most direct law of trauma bonding is this. It's simple. We're bonded to the people who represent our unhealed inner stuff. It really is that simple. Okay, so let's say that you're still internally carrying the trauma of abandonment, the terror of abandonment. You're going to be attracted to and attractive to people who are prone to abandon people. People who don't commit, who aren't loyal, who aren't going to respect you. You're also going to show up in highly triggered ways where you age regress back to your young abandonment trauma, and your reactions are going to add to the fuel of the possibility of abandonment. Okay, you're also going to stay connected to people who abandon you, trying to force them and change them into being loyal and safe and committed to you. But of course, it doesn't work. The only remedy to this is being able to let go inside and heal the trauma of abandonment. And then you're no longer trauma bonded to people who will abandon you. You break the binds, you go free, and it also changes the patterns of your relationships in the future. The right inner work is the most powerful way to heal all these layers of aftershock. So I want you to have hope. You don't have to stay in these horrific feelings and this powerlessness and feeling so addicted to that person. So my aftershock, like virtually everyone's, was mind-bending. It absolutely shook me to my core. It stunned me. And after discovering and applying quantum tools, and specifically quantum freedom healing, to address my inner trauma bonds, I was able to release the peptide addiction loop, and I got calm and resolution in those places inside where I was carrying all of the trauma of the previous events and hurts that were the abuse. And not only did I heal from aftershock, I emerged as a much more whole, up-level person than I was before I even went through it. The same has happened for so many people in our community, in our wonderful community, as a result of taking on the inner work that I help them do in my healing programs. And as such, I'm really excited to tell you about my upcoming 10-week bootcamp course, which is known as Thrive, which has a whole week dedicated to Aftershock specifically. And it also has many other juicy up-leveling healings and tools, such as becoming a boundary beast and becoming impervious to abuse and abusers, and being able to detox and powerfully move forward in your life in all areas of your life. And this is why this is called Thrive. So if you've been struggling with what I've talked about today, I can't recommend that you look at it enough. All right, so I really hope that today has made sense. I hope it can give you hope, and it really allows you to know you're not going crazy. This is really common. There is a name for this, and please know you can heal for real from this pretty quickly when you get onto it the right way. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments about, if this resonated with you and if you're going through this, and also if you've already healed and up-leveled from this, because that helps give other people hope as well. Also too, pass this video on to somebody you know who is going through Aftershock so that you can help and bless them to get better. All right, so until the next one, keep smiling, keep healing, and keep thriving, because there is nothing else to do. Lots of love. Bye-bye.